The information presented on this podcast are that of the guest and of my own personal views, opinions, and research on the subject matter, and do not represent those of the Humanity Project as a whole. So,
viewer discretion is advised.
Buckle up and hold on to your seats because the revolution of reality has begun.
Something like that. So, darling, how you doing?
Nervous, but good.
Nervous, but good. I'm a little nervous too. I don't know why. I think it's just because it's live, and that scares the shit out of me a little bit. But here we go. So, our guest today. This is our third podcast. The first two I haven't released yet. I'm gonna put them out here real soon, and I'll get them out to everybody. So today's podcast is a friend of ours named Laura, and when I met Laura, she was living in a car with her dog, and she was working 3 part-time jobs. So if you guys have any questions, I'll check in on the questions every once in a while to see what you guys think or what you think you want to ask her. So, tell me about your experience being homeless.
Sucked. Flat out sucked. I lost my place in, I think it was beginning of November. And first little bit I had a lot of couches to sleep on. I found a lot of couches, and then eventually it ended up being in my car. With a couch here and there, depending on what I could find.
So you had your dog, you kept your dog in with you. The second one of the live streams ended, which is the Facebook one. Facebook sucks. Facebook's the worst. Facebook sucks. Keeps disconnecting. Okay, so you had your dog. When I met you, like you're the one that like shattered. You're not the only one, but you're one of the main people that shattered the myth of homeless people are lazy. Because that's one of the first things most people have in their head, right? Is that like, oh, homeless people don't want to work, or they're just lazy, or whatever. They don't understand that it's circumstance, and that it can be you, it can be me, it can be anybody. But you were working 3 part-time jobs, and I remember you're using the money to keep your car warm, so that you could stay warm at night, and keep your dog fed. And I met you when you started coming here. What was the hardest thing about being homeless?
I think the hardest thing, but there's a lot of the hardest things. It's hard to just pick one. The cold and the winter. That was one of the hardest. But I think not having a safe place to go. That was the hardest part. Not feeling safe. I never felt safe. No matter where I was, I never felt safe. I could get kicked out in the blink of an eye and be in my car. I could lose the car.
You mean when you were couch surfing and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even in my car, I never felt safe. Somebody could walk by, I always felt like everybody was around me. I didn't have that safe place to go.
Do you feel like having your dog with you made it a little bit safer? Like if you didn't have the dog in it, it's a nice, good sized dog. So, do you think if you never had him with you, you would have felt a lot less safe?
Absolutely. He barked if anybody came near the car. He protected me.
I know. Because I remember when he stayed here, and he's a good dog, but he's around you. You can tell you have a bond with him, that's for sure. He stayed with you and stayed by your side. It's so from someone that's never been homeless to going homeless, what was the biggest thing that you learned, or the biggest thing that you thought, like, you know, that really shocked you or surprised you?
I guess how, I don't know, biggest thing that shocked me.
No, just speak up, probably.
Was how much lack of help there was in the city. I didn't know about you guys at first. It's like when you're on the street, you don't have an address, so you can't go on welfare unless you find an address to go on welfare. You don't know where to go to eat. If you don't have internet, you don't really have nowhere to go to eat. You meet people and they tell you.
You know, the funny thing is I've heard people say online, like, with people with cell phones. Why do I see people on cell phones outside the soup kitchen? You know, most people that are poor or homeless that you see on the street that have a cell phone, they had that cell phone before they went homeless, or before they went, you know, had hard times. And the thing is about that is a lifeline. That is a lifeline to their family and their friends. So when you usually see them out with their cell phones or their tablets, it's usually somewhere that has Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That they can get the Wi-Fi because they have no service on it, but they use it to communicate with their friends and family. And some people, you know, they look down at them like, why do they have a tablet if they're so poor? But they had that before, you know?
Absolutely.
And who cares? They need it. Doesn't your family want to know where you are? You know what I mean? Like, to me, it just, I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense the way we look at and we judge those that have less.
It's the same thing with like having a car. People think because you're homeless you shouldn't have a car.
I know. But did you have the car before you were homeless?
Absolutely.
Yeah, see? Exactly.
What?
So it's like, you know, you have the car, and that's a safety net for you, because that's sleeping in the car with the dog was easier than sleeping outside under a bridge.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I wouldn't subject them to any of those conditions. Like,
So what do you think from the people that you met? Did you meet a lot of homeless people when you were on the street?
I met a few, yeah. Some people that were going through the same thing. Some people that had harder times. Met a lot of people here.
You're
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're feeding right now, like, well, when you came in for supper, it's like 100 to 150 people, you know?
It's a lot of people. And I remember people when I was standing in line, they'd always tell me I would not be eating if it was not for this meal. Or they'd tell me how much weight they've gained since they've started eating here.
I know. That's the biggest thing to me about, like, this, having this building and getting this building, is like, we're building a dream. You know, when you need something, you came here to eat. And when you need something, you know, if you had holes in your shoes, I could look at you and say, do you need a new pair of shoes? You don't have to go down the street and tell somebody else your story and set up appointments and run all over town. You know, it's basically like a one-stop shop. We give clothing, we give, you know, food, housing, whatever we can. And I think, you know, by working with your community and working together, the benefits, that's what really gets me, is like what you just said. You hear people, and I've heard so many people stand in line and tell us that they gain weight, or that they're gaining weight. And to me, that's worth fighting for, because it's really an amazing thing that's going on here, because it's really community, you know? And the funny thing is, even though all the people that we help, all of our friends, most of them help us. Like, you've come in and volunteered and helped us and given back, you know? You're still working now, and you still come in and help every once in a while, so it's like, that's great. It's amazing.
It's all about paying it forward. It's all about giving back. It's helping. I've always felt that if somebody gives, I need to give back, and so much more. Like, I know you don't have to. Like, I know it's said that you don't have to, that it's just a kind gesture, but I've always believed that if somebody's going to help you, if somebody's going to give, then why not help? Why not give back? Why not find a way to give back because somebody helped you?
Yeah. You know, the thing is, most people that help or most people that give are people that have either had hard times before and know what it's like to struggle, because those are the people that are always giving back, you know. Even people from big companies and businesses, they're people that have struggled at one time or another in their life. Like they relate to the common working poor man, you know, the common person. And I don't know. I just see a lot of changes coming. And like people think I'm crazy because I say like we're declaring war on poverty. I'm not joking. Like I think poverty has been made a joke of long enough. Like I really do, and I think we should be ashamed of ourselves for the way we treat the poor, and we should be ashamed of ourselves for what we've done, because we haven't done enough. You know, we can fix this. We really can. Just working together.
One thing that really bothers me is like people that are on the side of the road asking for change. I always give my change. I may not be on the side of the road asking for change. I actually didn't do that when I was on the street. But I wished I could. I wished I had that, I don't know the word, but I wish I had that willpower, like the strength to actually go and ask, because it would have helped.
To ask somebody for money.
Yes, but I couldn't do it. I didn't have
It. What it is, it's dignity. You're losing your dignity. Like I know a guy that was on the street, and he was literally, he never drank. Like he drank like, you know, like I do every once in a while, every couple weekends, go with the boys or something. But he literally got on the street, started drinking so that he could ask people for change, because he needed to eat at night, because we have two soup kitchens in the city, and they were both open at the same time. So there was nothing to eat for supper, and we weren't doing suppers at this time. So he was drinking, and then he's drinking so that he can take his dignity and move it out of the way, so that he can ask a stranger for change, so that he can eat. So my question is, at the point where he's addicted, so then when he gets up in the morning, his hand's shaking because he needs alcohol, is that addiction or is that survival? Because that's what he did to survive. But then he got an addiction from it, you know. Now he's 9 months sober. He has a girlfriend, full-time job, his own place. Like, I'm so proud of him. But he's got full support, right? So when he gets out and he wants to go to AA, me and Amanda will go with him. Because that's what somebody needs. They need somebody to grab them on the other end. Mm-hmm. And, you know, not just go, here you go, that's it, close the door, see you later. You need that full service where somebody's actually going to care and be there when you get out to help you through it. So.
It's like, I was trying to write a review for your page, but I haven't gotten through it yet. And one of the things that I mentioned was when I came to eat, the volunteers didn't just make you feel, they didn't give you a look of like, oh, I feel guilty for you, or oh, you're on the street or anything. No, they gave you a nice warm smile, and you felt welcomed and you felt safe. You felt like a person. For those 5 seconds that they talked to you, you didn't feel like you were homeless asking for food.
That makes me feel really crap. That like makes me feel really, really good, because that's it. Because at the end of the day, like I tell people, you know, you don't smoke dope out in front of a restaurant. Don't smoke dope out in front of this one. I want them in that mentality that this is not a soup kitchen. You know, we're not a shelter. We are a home. We're a home for our community, by our community, you know, built with our community. And to me, it's like, at some point, I would love to have people come out and take orders at the tables and serve people. You know, no lineups, no standing there. Because, as you know, like when we first started, we put, I don't know, 100 pieces of cake out, and it was like a pack of hyenas on meat, you know what I mean? They're all jumping, and they're like, oh, you know, and it's like, wait. Sit down, enjoy your coffee, there's enough for everyone. And if there isn't, we'll get more cake. Because it's about changing the way people think. You know, one of the places here in town, like, they need security, and to me, people that are hungry don't come to fight. We've had a few incidences with people, but we've never had repeat incidences with those people, because it's just respect. Mm-hmm. Respect yourself, respect this place, and respect each other. You know, and I think most of the people, 99.9% of the people that come here to eat, respect one another. You know, and they respect this place because you'll see them cleaning off their dishes, and then they'll grab dishes from other people and clean them off and help us. It's amazing. It really is. But let me see what people are writing here. That's kind of neat. So, what do you think our city needs when it comes to homelessness and to kind of fix it?
Used to people in general, people like even in the city, they need to really look at homelessness as what it is, as people that are living on the street. They have no home. What are you laughing at?
Because that's crazy. You think that way. You know what I mean? People without a home, homeless. Exactly. That's the problem. Instead of looking down on them, you know, it's like you said, look at them like people. Like that's what they are. They're people.
They're no less of a person because they're homeless.
They're no
They don't
less
deserve
important.
to be on the street. Just, I hate the way people look at it. It's like it's a disease. I can't talk. A disease.
It is. Well, poverty's a disease. I think poverty is a disease. It's, you know, the only thing it doesn't affect is the rich. But to be honest with you, you say look at people like people, right? Some of my best friends now are either homeless or formerly homeless because I met them because they are great people. But the crazy thing is you know him. I'm not gonna say his name, but he came here and he was chugging tons of water. And a lot of the volunteers know who I'm talking about too, because you gave him 6 bottles of water, he'd drink them right there. I thought he had diabetes. And I was like, maybe you got onset diabetes. Anyways, and he came in, and I let him stay here. And he was like incoherent, not making any sense. And the second day after he got out, he was like kind of, you know, making a little bit more sense. Still drinking water, and he was eating. And by the third day, he was making perfect sense. And I was like, do you want to go get tested? And I started talking about diabetes and stuff. And he was like, no, man. He's like, I just had 4 hours sleep in 5 days, and I've hardly eaten. He's like, that's what was wrong with me. And I was like, wow. The difference in food and sleep alone from living on the street, because the problem was in the winter, as you know, you're finding a warm spot, they kick you out, you're finding a warm spot, kick you out, you're finding a warm spot. You're spending your whole night walking around. You know, we've had guys in the wintertime here with their friggin' buddy fell asleep with his hand in a cup of soup, or it was in a coffee or something when they woke him up, and he was like, ugh. And it was hot coffee and he passed out. That's because he's staying up, walking around all night, trying to stay warm, right? So.
It's definitely not easy to sleep when you're cold either. I slept in minus 28 degree weather and I had a blanket, and every 30 minutes or so when the car started to get cold, I'd wake up. It seeps into your bones.
Feel it right in your bones. Yeah. So it's like, imagine going out and sitting there all day outside in like the cold or whatever, and then you can't go back in. You know, that cold when it sits in your bones, like when you're skidooing or whatever, sliding, whatever. But no. But now you're housed. So what would you say that positive things the city has going for it when it comes to homelessness?
You guys.
That's kind of biased. Seeing how you're sitting here on the podcast.
Well, it's true, because I can't really think of much. I mean,
So I see something somebody wrote. I'm probably better watching it now. I know when I go live, it closes the same thing, just something like an apple. Weird. So how are things now?
things are great now. Things are looking up. I got parts for my car.
Yeah, it's funny, the little accomplishments, eh? Like, you know, your car's falling apart, you can't afford it, but then now you're working, you're housed, you're buying parts for your car.
It's a great feeling. Like, just even going into a grocery store. I haven't been in a grocery store in forever. And just going into the grocery store and picking up a few things like Kraft Dinner, Mr. Noodle, college school items, like just being able to pick things up. But going in and buying body soap, hair dye, just little things. It's a great feeling. Being able to buy clothes for yourself.
What did you miss the most?
What did I miss the most?
Yeah, when you were homeless. What were the things that you never thought of that while you were homeless you were like, I wish I had that, or shit, I miss that?
I miss dressing up. I used to dress up all the time. Wear nice clothes, walk around, felt great. When I was homeless, I always felt usually wore the same thing. I couldn't carry many clothes around with me. Shower. People take showers for advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a horrible feeling when you don't have a shower.
Yeah, that's why we want to get a shower installed here, because it's one of the worst things, right? To not be able to take a shower when you want one.
Especially if you're working. Because it's embarrassing to go into work after like 4 days of not having a shower. And you try to find ways to clean yourself, but just don't get that full effect.
That's the thing, it must be hard holding a job, or holding 2 jobs, or whatever, when you can't shower. You know?
It's not a great feeling. It's embarrassing. You're walking around thinking, I should be nice and clean for this job. And you're wondering if people are looking at you, or wondering, or if they notice your hair is a little shiny, or...
Yeah. I commend you, you know? I think you're brave. And the one thing is, like, you were outside in the wintertime. And, I find less women outside when I'm out looking. And the women I usually do find are either with a boyfriend or some friends. They stick together. I think one of the reasons why I find less women on the street than I find men is just simply because women always have a choice on a place to go. It's just, what price do you want to pay?
Mm-hmm.
You know? A lot of the ladies that walk around at night, they all have my phone number. And I'll get texts sometimes and it'll just say person sleeping here, the corner here, or wherever, right? Because that's what I ask them for. If you know anyone, just if you see someone outside, let me know and I'll get them some warm stuff or try to help them out. And I don't know. I just, like, when I look at that, homelessness, to me, homelessness and prostitution are kind of hand in hand when it comes to women. Because a lot of women, that's what they do to stay off the street.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of the ones that are, and drugs too, you know, you get addicted to drugs and, you know, it's with no support or help, it's hard. It's like, I don't know. I felt bad one night when I closed up the door here because one person left and I knew that they were leaving and they had no place to stay, but yet they were going out to sell themselves so that they could have a room that night. That really just bothered me. I don't know. Do you ever have any interactions like that when you were on the street?
I've had friends jokingly suggest it. I've had times where I wish that I had that ability to be able to do it, but I couldn't.
It's dignity.
Yeah. it
Just
is.
like asking for change, right?
Yeah. And
dignity.
I've always stuck by my morals, and I've never judged anybody for it. I've actually thought if they can do it, it's their thing. I'm not going to tell them to stop. I'm not going to judge them for it because it's their thing. It's what's getting them by, and they're doing what they have to do to get them by, even if it sucks.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I don't understand, and this is, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but prostitution, okay? The way I see it is, I can pick up the phone right now and call a prostitute. I say, come on over. She comes over. I give her $100.
Mm-hmm.
We're done. Here's $100. See you later. She leaves.
Mm-hmm.
That is illegal. Okay? But if I go on like Plenty of Fish, Match.com, some dating site, and I meet some girl, and I take her to the movies, and I take her to the bar, and I spend $100 and I take her home, and we have sex, that is legal. But we look at like sugar daddies, like Hugh Hefner. Look at Hugh Hefner. The guy is older than shit, and he's got all these hot blondes hanging off him that he's sleeping with. Now maybe he's not giving them cash, but he's making their rent payments or their house payments or buying them cars, and he's giving them actual things instead of cash, and he's probably giving them cash too. But we almost make a joke of it in our society, you know, about gold diggers and sugar daddies, and we joke about it. But they're not exchanging cash. Now here's the crazy part. If I call a prostitute and I give her $100 to have sex with me, that is illegal. But if I call a prostitute and I give her $100 to have sex with me while I turn one of those cameras on, then it is now legal because it's porn. So is it the act of prostitution that's illegal, or is it the act of not paying tax on the money that's illegal or immoral? You know, because when you look at prostitution in other countries and ones that have legalized it, it's safer. It's safer with human trafficking and women getting, you know, taken. I seen a thing on TV, it was about milk cartons and kids on milk cartons. And they were saying like a certain percentage of those kids on milk cartons were all sold in the sex trade. So when I used to see that when I was a kid, I thought, okay, you know, missing little kid and they got him on a milk carton. Well, that kid's in another country because they got sold in the sex trade. And it's like a high percentage. And it cuts down on human trafficking. It cuts down, and I look at it this way, my daughter walks down St. George or any of those side streets, John Street, any of that stuff. She can walk into a prostitute at any time, right? And I'm the same way, I don't judge. But if you have it legal and you have it in one spot, then my daughter knows not to go into that spot. You know? And it's safer for women, and disease-wise and stuff like that too. So to me, I always just wonder, is it just a matter of money? And that's why it's, you know, illegal? Because if you turn on a camera, it's now legal. Like a video camera, like that makes no sense to me. So I don't know. But unlike you, I don't judge the people on the streets because I don't know what they've done or where they've been or what they've had to go through. You know, we all walk a different path in life. And, you know, just hopefully we have people around us to guide us onto the right path.
It's the same with drugs. People judge me because I hang around with people that do drugs. And I don't do drugs.
No.
And to me, so what? They do drugs. I'm not going to ask them to stop. I know what, well, I don't know exactly, but I can't imagine what kind of withdrawal symptoms and stuff they would go through if they suddenly stopped. And I know it would be hell. I've gone off prescription drugs, antidepressants, and that's hell. Absolute hell.
Yeah, because when you're homeless, you can't afford your medication.
No.
And a lot of people don't think about that. And that's the whole, a lot of homeless are mentally ill. A lot of people have mental illness.
Absolutely.
Now take away their medication.
You go crazy.
Yeah, but another thing is too, is how many people, I asked a guy one time and I said, they say mental illness affects a lot of the homeless, but how many people go mentally ill from being homeless? Because we all know we have a breaking point, so whether, you know, you're sitting in jail or war or whatever it is, you're gonna have a mental breaking point at some point. Everybody has one. So when you're sitting out in minus 28, 30 weather, and you're freezing, you're walking from place to place and your life sucks and you're just miserable and you're cold and you're hungry. When you hit that breaking point, is that when you get mental illness? You know, is that when you develop it? Because the guy I asked that to, he was homeless. And he said, you hit the nail right on the head. He said, because I've known guys, met them, talked to them, they're fine. 6 months, a year later, they're talking to themselves. You know, so it's really quite sad.
People don't think when they judge. People, like, everybody, they look, I don't know how to say it. Everybody looks at homeless as if they should just get up and get a job and just get out of it. Do whatever. You shouldn't be on the street. It's suddenly bad. But half those people that judge the people on the street what would they do if suddenly they were on the street and they were cold and they had no food, they had no money? Like, they don't think about that when they're judging. They're like, that person's homeless, they should get a job. What if it was you?
You know what the thing is? In New Brunswick, most people should understand that, because our economy is shit here. It is shit. We have a dying province. We have a province that sits here and we separate ourselves by language. And we fight over it. It's like, whatever. This is ridiculous. You know, you go down to California, there's so many different languages and they're not down there fighting over it and they're all working and got jobs. But this province, it's like we spend our time fighting over language and, you know, speak English, you speak French, you need to speak both. Well, is it the best person that's qualified for the job, or is it the best person that's qualified for the job that can speak 2 languages? Because I traveled all over New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, Newfoundland, and for work, and I'm not French. And I can understand people and make out fine. You know, it wasn't a problem. The only problem with it is what our politicians and them make it, because they're trying to divide us by it. And to me, that's just crazy. That's just craziness, you know. Our province is dying. We need to work together to bring jobs here and to bring, you know, something for our people. Because there's nothing here.
It's crazy too when people say, like, I've read conversations online and people are like, well, I feel bad for the homeless, they should just get off their lazy ass and get a job. Well, they don't understand that when you're living on the street, it's hell to try and find a job. When you gotta get up every morning and face the day not knowing where you're gonna sleep, or you've been sleeping in a car all night and your body's just aching and you've gotta go to work. You've got to go to work after having 4 days of not having a shower. Your dignity's gone. You go in and they catch you brushing your teeth and they accuse you of something. I got accused of smoking in a bathroom.
You're just trying to stay clean.
So yeah, I was just trying to stay clean.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter if you work in a, you know, fast food restaurant or you work in a hotel. You know, someone's coming in the bathroom to clean themselves. Yeah, I know it's not the best smell, because one of the biggest things is socks, trying to keep your feet dry. And a lot of them, they have socks that are soaked and you can't keep them dry. So that's where a lot of the smell comes from. It's from their feet being wet. And they go in the bathrooms trying to clean themselves up and they're getting kicked out. And that's one of the biggest things. Like, we want our shower that we're going to put in here, it's going to be like, going to be the Taj Mahal of showers. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. It's all ceramic tile. It's going to be nice. And it's because they deserve to have something nice. Like, we're going to make it accessible for if you're, you know, you have a cane or wheelchair or whatever, so you can get in there and it's going to be good. But I don't know, it's one of the things, like, that surprised me about you is how determined you were. You know, and like you said earlier, you said something about sticking to your morals, like doing drugs. I know some of the people that you were around, and you weren't doing drugs. And you're like, no, that's just going to make things worse, you know. But I also knew that you didn't have your meds, and that wasn't very easy on you.
No.
You know, so when you say you know what withdrawal is, you do know what withdrawal is. So how do you feel now?
I feel a lot better.
Feel a lot better?
I still have my down days where things get tough, because it's still a battle. Even after you get in a home, you still got to battle to make sure you pay the rent, keep everything going. You're starting back up and you've got past debts to pay and different things. So it's a tough process. So you still have your down days, you still have your days where you feel low, you don't know what you're going to do. Scariest thing in the world is the idea of ending back up on the street. And you're scared that if you don't make the rent on time, that your landlord's going to turn around and say, no, you gotta go. Scary.
You know, there's a woman yesterday, and I never posted it or anything yet, but there was a woman yesterday that, and this one shut off, that was telling me that her child had a rare genetic, can't even talk, had a rare genetic disease and she it's life shortening, and he can't walk anymore, and it cost us $300 to keep her from going homeless. Like $300, because she's arguing with the insurance company, and she's waiting for them. And second, we're putting this on live. Yeah, she's waiting for them, arguing with the insurance company. And while she's arguing with the insurance company, she's short on her rent, and her landlord doesn't care. You know, too bad about you, too bad about your kid that can no longer walk and that is super sick. You're out on the street. And that broke my heart. And when I found out it was $300 to keep them from going homeless, I brought it up at our meeting. It wasn't even a discussion. You know, and we don't have money because we're trying to put all of our money into this, into this dream. But for $300 to leave somebody from going homeless, you know, that's worth every penny. And that's the thing I found was so many different scenarios and so many different people that everyone that's homeless, the reasons for homelessness are as different as the individual. You know, it could just be didn't have my rent, got laid off, I got a drinking problem. It could be a lot of things. But I don't know.
People don't realize when they're judging the homeless that it could be them. That one month they may not make their rent. That next day they could have a drinking problem. Their landlord or their house could go up in flames. Like,
That's it. Look at Fort Mac. How many people just lost all their stuff? And that's something I'll say is that if anybody out there is from Fort Mac and is in the Moncton area and needs anything, stop by and see us, because we have lots of clothes. We have lots of stuff. A lady stopped and bought our Chase East tickets the other day and said she was from Fort Mac. And I told her to come on up. I said, we have a lot of clothes and food and stuff like that. We can help you out. And she looked at us and said, you guys are the first ones that offered us help since we've been here, which really surprised me.
wow.
Because I was like, that just really, really surprised me. But yeah, look how many people just lost all their stuff. You know, we've already helped a couple families that are home from Fort Mac. And it's like, that happened in no time. And that's a thing.
Yeah.
It really can just happen in no time. What time is it?
I have no idea.
I'm sure. So, if you could give any advice to anybody, what would you say?
That no matter what you're facing, to stay strong. To keep fighting, because it does get better. And find what suits you, to do what you have to make your life better. Come and find help. It's hard. It's really hard to suck it up and go ask for help. But it changed my life.
Asking for help?
That was one of the hardest things to do. I like to be able to do it myself, and I know a lot of people are like that. I've talked to people and I say, go have a meal, go eat, and they're like, I can't do it, I can't suck it up and go. I know I need it, but I just can't do it.
I've talked to a few people that told me that they've been here like 3 days in a row before they would come in. Because they just didn't know. They thought, you know, it's just a soup kitchen or whatever. And they didn't know until they got here what it was. And, you know, pride's a hard thing to swallow. It's a very hard thing, it's a very hard pill to swallow. You know, to push your pride out of the way. That's even like me, like, this thing's growing, the Humanity Project's growing really fast. And we got like close to 200 volunteers. And, you know, we're trying to end homelessness. And we're not trying, we're gonna end homelessness. Like, I'm dead set. And my team's dead set on it, you know. It's one thing we do is we work with the homeless. because if you want to find something that works for the homeless, you got to work with the homeless. It's kind of the theory behind that, but it's not rocket science. But you know, we want to give love, respect, and dignity to everybody. And as fast as this thing's growing, I'm too prideful sometimes to ask for that when I know I need it. You know, so I think that's just in everybody. That sometimes you just, you know, you don't want to ask, but if anybody's watching this and anybody is ever homeless or in need, don't let your pride stand in the way. Just please come see us. And yeah, it's important because we'll give you dignity and respect and lots of love, and I'm probably throwing a hug or two. I'm a hugger, but no.
The day I asked for help was the day my life changed, and I came here and I asked for help.
Really?
My life started to get better ever since I asked. I started to have a meal in my belly every single night. And that helped me with my health, helped me feel better, helped me get through my day. When I was at work all day, the one good thing I knew I had coming was if I got off by 4 or 5 or at 5, I could come here and eat.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember because you used to message me. Be like, I think I'm off in time, you guys still gonna be there? And I'd be like, yeah, we're still here. But that's the thing, right? Like at 6 o'clock at night, we're done serving, but we're not kicking people out.
No.
You know, sit down until we're done cleaning, or if you want to get up and help clean or whatever, which most of them do. But, you know, sit down and relax. That's why we got a TV here and a ping pong table and, you know, toys and a whole bunch of stuff so that people can relax and just feel comfortable.
It's funny. One of the things that I did miss the most, it's just silly, is actually being able to sit down and watch TV. Because suddenly things like TV and internet become like a huge luxury. And it's so nice just to sit down for 5 seconds and watch like Family Guy or something and think, you don't realize you're homeless for those 5 minutes.
Well, you know what? That's funny because the other day I tried to do a video of walking around showing the line, and it was like real glitchy, like really, really bad. And I didn't know if it was the Facebook Live app or if it was my phone or what it was. But I tried it the next day, just playing around. Kind of the same thing happened. But it was at the same time. The rest of the day it worked fine. It was because I was connecting to the same Wi-Fi in here that everybody out there has. So at 5 o'clock when people show up for supper at 4 o'clock, you know, some of them are out there, they have the password. And they're on their tablets or phones, right? It's just slowing me right down. So I learned my lesson on that one. But that's what it is. When you don't have it, you know, you want it. And it makes you feel normal.
Yeah.
You know. That's what my buddy Mark used to say to me. He'd say, you know, we'd come over to my house, we'd watch TV, and he'd go, oh, I almost feel normal again. I said, you're normal, my friend. No. Not having a house doesn't make you not normal.
My favorite is playing video games. I used to play video games all the time.
Really?
Now I haven't played really since I was homeless. I played a couple times while I was homeless with a couple friends that I met up with, but...
You find it hard when you're couch surfing? Yeah.
Especially maintaining friendships with those that you're couch surfing on. A lot of gossip gets spread around, a lot of things get said. You usually end up losing them. Something happens. You always have that threat that you're going to end up back in your car out on the street, or you don't know what you're going to do. And when you're looking at the temperature and it's going down, 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 it's hitting minus 15, minus 20, minus 28, and you're still sitting in your car and you're watching the bars of gas go down, it's awful.
It sucks.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
And you manage to get a few minutes of sleep, and then all of a sudden the cold would hit you and you'd wake up and you'd be like, turn on the car. Gotta turn on the car. And then hope it was like just 5 minutes of heat.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, you're in your car, and you're working, and you're trying to keep, like, save money, trying to keep gas in your car, keep it warm. But some of the guys that are out there, and I see them, and they're intense.
I can't imagine.
Like, I swear there was one this winter. I think I posted a picture of it. It was a tent, but it was encased in ice. Encased. I was like, I'm gonna find someone dead in here. 100% I'm gonna find someone dead in here. Thank God I didn't. But it was encased in ice. Like, the guy wasn't there. And I talked to him after, and he's like, no, it was too cold. He's like, I found another spot. But it was like, man, it's brutal. It's brutal. Like, I've spent a lot of nights walking around, and some of those nights are freaking cold.
Yeah.
Like, they're cold, and I'm hopping back in my car and driving to another location or going to another spot and then walking for like a half hour, 40 minutes or whatever, but I just can't imagine, like, out there all night's just brutal.
I felt very lucky that I had the car.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what it's like to actually sleep every night in a tent, right on the street.
Once you get your apartment and you're in your bed, though, you must have thought that was pretty sick.
Oh, it was amazing. I still wake up and think, bed, warm.
I remember you sent me a picture, and it was your bed against the wall, and you go, we're all moved in. And then 10 minutes later you sent me and you're like, heaven. And it was a picture of your bed sitting in your room. And I was like, oh yeah, not cramped up in that car, not sleeping on a couch, or, it makes you appreciate the finer things, I bet. Like,
Yeah.
The things you didn't have, or the things that you really miss.
Being able to cook, that's one thing I missed.
Yeah.
You can't. I used to make awesome meals like steak and pork chops and tacos. Love tacos. Sloppy Joes. I used to make them from scratch.
I don't want to say what we're gonna do, but I've already talked to a few people about it. If that post contest, if we win it, and I win it, we're gonna do a hell of a meal, like a really, really, really good meal. But we won't announce it or anything. It'll just be on the day where everybody normally shows up, and it'll be a treat. That's one of the things we'll do. But no. So, end the podcast. Take off. Look tired. It's late. It's like 12. I don't know. It's probably like 11. I don't even have my clock. Time's setting that clock up there. No, don't turn around.
I can't even see.
Check it. It is 11:30.
That's not late.
It's not too bad. 49 minutes. I do have to get home before my daughter disowns me, though. That's not going to be good. So, that was a little bit of a test. First podcast. Live. So definitely live stream works better than the Facebook app, because the Facebook app sucks. But, I don't know. Come on the podcast again some night. Get off work. I gotta put out the other ones too. And then, I don't know if you know the other two guys that did them. You might. But, anyway. Yeah, so, thanks everybody for tuning in and listening and all that good stuff. And, probably should have had more than 3 hours sleep before I did this. My brain's not working very well tonight. I'm just like all little. But, no. Thanks everybody for tuning in, being our test subjects on which version or which app you use to stream this stuff from. And I'll put out podcast number 1 and podcast number 2 real soon. I'll probably put them out this week. And I just want to thank Laura for coming on and giving us your experience. And once I get all the kinks worked out of this and figure out how to use it correctly, I'll get you to come back on for a live one. We'll do like a question and answer thing or something.
Sounds good to me.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Perfect, Aaron. Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching.